I'm so excited. Yebba has just put out a tiny desk. If you don't know who Yebba is, you're sleeping under a rock. I'm so excited to hear her voice in this type of setting. Oh my gosh. So I'm O'Neal Gerald Donald. I am thoroughly excited because one of my favorite voices right now, who is bringing some amazing music, has a tiny desk. And it's Yebba. I've done some videos on Yebba before, but this is the first time I'm going to be talking about Yebba in a live setting on this vocal talk through. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening to Distance, which is already an amazing song. I can't wait to see how she navigates this. This is absolutely going to be amazing. And remember, this is not a reaction. This is a vocal talk through. So if you know it, sing it with me. This is not a reaction. That key's too high right now. It's 7 in the morning. This is not a reaction. This is a talk through, talk through. This is a vocal talk through. This is not a reaction. This is a talk through. It's a vocal talk through. Yeah. It's really in the morning. Anyway, my voice is super low. Let's listen to Yebba's Distance live from her tiny desk. I'm excited. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ah!
Oh yeah. Sing it, oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think one thing that's very important to notice about Yebba from the jump is that Yebba has a very unique quality in that why do I have a pen? Anyway, I'm pointing at you. Yebba has a very unique quality in that she brings her head voice down very far. For at least for a non-classical singer, her voice tends to be a lot lighter and it floats a lot in the middle C range, around that area. Because she brings her a head voice dominant sound deeper into her range. She chooses between mixing in her mid to low register and actually just using more of a purer head voice dominant sound in her in that middle C range. It creates a lighter sound, but especially in her case, she adds a lot of breath to the tone as well. So there's a lot of air that's also there. And it makes for a very husky, breathy tone. It kind of reminds me a bit of the quality that Brandy brings, but instead of mixed voice or a chest voice dominant sound that Brandy would bring, Yebba's doing it in her head voice. Absolutely. Come on, Yebba. Absolutely.
Take me back to the distance.
Yeah. So what she's doing is she's putting a lot more space between each of the notes to provide a little bit more onset. Take me back, and then she kind of gives a little bit of an it's an inflection, but it kind of more feels like two notes to me. Take me back, back, back.
Take me back to the distance.
Right, and then on 2, there's lots of vibrato that's there, so you can tell she's making very intentional choice. Take me back to absolutely.
Oh yeah, late night.
Oh yeah, like honestly. Choices, man.
Sending my love all over.
Right? And so that's when she starts to bring in the mix. I'm sending my love all over. And the vocal fry is helping us to see where she's dominating, right? She's not really she goes from a much more heady sound to starting to mix it to bring a little bit more weight to the tone.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Okay, and because it's a vocal talk through, I'm just going to continue to comment. There's also times where she creates a vibrato that she has her natural vibrato that floats a little bit quicker, but then there are times when she's holding notes that she actually kind of gives a slower vibrato. Right there. Yeah.
Because of the time we shared, time we lost.
I love that. She's very gospel-y. I love it because she's making distinct choices between what notes she wants to emphasize, what words she wants to emphasize. Because on the original, she's more like, because of the time we shared, right? And she chooses a lighter vowel. But here she kind of darkens the tone a bit. Because of the time we shared. And as vibrato on it too. Love it. Shared times. Yeah.
Time we lost in love with one another.
Right? And again, she's being intentional on where she's singing through the line and where she's adding where there's space in between. Times we lost in love with, right? And then she's actually adding she's selling those sounded consonants that are before. Times we lost in love, and she kind of puts a little bit of tone on those consonants. Times we lost in love with love. So she kind of even adds a little bit more of a vowel there.
Time we lost in love with.
And then one another. Right? She disconnects it. One, and then she gives a glottal attack. One another.
Pay the cost of losing heart's desire so very soon.
No, for me, it's the pitch for me. Like she's so laser, like she's so in the middle. Wait, I'm supposed to be talking here. She's in the middle of the pitch, and even when she descends into the lower parts of her range, which sound a little bit thinner because of this head voice dominant sound that she chooses. Losing, right? She's on an E there. Losing, right? Losing. That's where it sounds for me because it's 7 a.m. But losing, right? She doesn't lose the pitch, and also the tone doesn't disappear. One thing that usually happens with people that choose a head voice dominant sound is that when they get lower in their voice, they choose to try to force the head voice sound a little bit lower. What she's choosing to do is start to employ a little bit more of her chest voice, but she doesn't go all the way chesty. She uses a little bit of chest dominance to help her to get that note and for it to speak. And the vowel is open, losing, right? And the tone is forward, so you get a full tone.
Cost of losing
Right there.
Oh, I still get so lost in
Yeah. Right? There's very little trills that she's doing on I don't like let's call them riffs. Right? Absolutely, Yebba.
Oh, I still get so lost in the feeling.
Right. It's and the money of that is the notes on the in between. I just in the feeling. Right? She's also rhythmically in the pocket. So when she's adding these notes, she's adding 16ths there. I just get lost in the feeling, or feeling. Is that how she does it?
Lost in the feeling, and I can't imagine.
And then can't imagine, right? It kind of plays like a downward inflection, but she's actually adding notes to the end of the notes.
And I can't imagine.
And I can't imagine. It kind of has the reverse effect of an upward inflection. And again, she's in tune with where she's singing in the key. So she's like, da 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 da. She's going down the scale, but she's just adding notes to the end of her words, then cutting it off. Da 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 da. Absolutely.
If your heart could
Right?
find.
And I love the slight mix that she adds, the right? And then she kind of adds a little bit of her mix. And yet the quality of Yebba's mix is actually very, very interesting, because there are times that rasp will show up here and there, and I'm still trying to understand for myself, is this something that she adds intentionally all the time, or is this something that shows up randomly? But you can hear a fracture. There's a little bit of rasp that's that's in there, that's this quality that's, you can hear it on the top. Yeah, right. And even there on the beginning of the run, she starts up in that mix, right? So it's not that she just pops up on the mix on the top, but because she's playing this wonderful game between a head voice sound and her mix, what she does is she masks the difference between the two by lightening her mix, but still giving that, it's almost like starting a car engine. Like she starts the car engine and then vrooms off, versus in the head voice, she kind of lays idly and the car just kind of sits. Yeah, actually, okay, let's go with the analogy. So let's treat the voice like a car. When you have a parked car, it can be parked but off and parked but on. When you have your car parked and it's off, you can't go anywhere with it. So let's say that Yebba's head voice, I was gonna say my wife's name. Anyway, Yebba's head voice, shout out to Maya. Yebba's head voice is that parked car that is off, in that the tone, it can grow, but it doesn't have the full weight that it would have if there was a mix. Now with the mix, when you turn it on, you can rev it and then you know the car will go. But the thing is, if you're looking from the outside, you don't know if the parked car is on or off unless you either A, listen closely to hear the rev of the engine, or you hear it vroom and take off, so you know, okay, the car is on. The way that Yebba is using her mix is the same. The fact that her mix can be as light as her head voice deceives us into thinking that she could be using her head voice when she's actually using her mix. It's that parked position of the car. But when she starts with a closed tone, right, to the untrained ear, it could sound like head voice, but for me, I'm listening and I'm hearing, nah, she's actually about to rev off, and that's exactly what she did with that upward run. And that's why we got that mixed rasp on the top. She started earlier. She prepared earlier. Listen. So listen.
Ever losing you,
right here. Right? And part of what's giving away the fact that she's actually in her mix is the added brightness that's there on the onset of that tone, right? Let's listen again. Let's do some deep listening, right? She's actually using her mix. It's actually really cool. Yeah, right? And there's a little bit of nasality to it that's intentionally added to kind of give it a little bit more funk. Love the choice. Yep, listen, she's absolutely a monster. Oh my gosh.
Find a new reason for someone special to hold on to.
Yeah.
I wonder if I would do, yeah, because of the time we shared.
Sing background.
Time we lost in love with one another.
Right? Right. And now we're starting to get the real game that she plays between her mix, really chest, and her head voice. She does these flips where you start to actually realize a bigger difference between the two sounds. So she'll actually add a little bit more chest to her mix in order to allow the flip to her head voice feel a little bit more disjunct. It kind of gives like this hiccup feel. Beyonce does it all the time. Whoa, 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 whoa. She's great at it. I'm not as good at it as her at it. But listen. Right? So, right? She lightens there. Right? So you can hear the distinct differences between the tones, but there's a little bit of switching that she's doing. Right? So, right? She switched there. Ooh, right? She didn't necessarily flip as hard as she usually did, but she lightened that thing. She brought that tone back. And so it kind of gives a dynamic to the run. So, right? Absolutely, Yebba. Right? And the one thing that I love about the fact about this song is that even though it's like right, the way that Yebba is subdividing with her runs is it kind of gives it like this bounce. So it's not right? It's actually feeling a lot faster within a slower groove. Because she's syncopating the rhythms a lot more, you're starting to feel the inner rhythmic heartbeat of what she's doing. It's smart singing and it's smart improvising. Absolutely.
Dancing in my room.
In my room. What did she do?
Dancing in my room.
Sing.
Love the things you do.
Right. Right? That's a beautiful line. And it's different from the original where she goes, love the things you do and right, and it's cool because she just chooses the top end because it's really the same note. Love the things you do, love the things you do. She just comes from the top, absolutely. But she's sensitive to the chord changes. And she's not just sensitive to the chord changes, she's actually creating a melody that moves smoothly through the chord changes. And that's the thing, like, Yebba as a songwriter is someone that is very sensitive. She hasn't tried to sound like anybody else. It makes a difference when a song is written to be tailored to showcase a voice's strengths and hide its weaknesses, or at least allow a singer the capability to sing around areas of their voice where they're weaker. One of the areas or the vulnerabilities of her voice is that simply with her head voice dominant sound in that lower part of her range, the sound starts to thin out. It starts to naturally disappear. But that's the sound that Yebba uses. And so what she did is she didn't necessarily try to push herself to create sound that she isn't really used to making. What she decided is just simply to write a song around the way that she loves to sing, right? And the instrumentation, it's very soft. It's very toned down, right? So it leaves room for that vulnerability in her voice to actually shine as something that's very unique. And this is something that I actually love to work with singers on, because I think a lot of singers, because they don't write their own songs, have to sing songs that are written for other people and other voices, and they have no ability to actually discover the strengths and vulnerabilities of their own voice, and so that they can A, create their own music, and B, also create repertoire, sing other songs that are tailored to their own music. And this is something that I actually talk about in my masterclass. So I want you to go to my website and actually watch my masterclass, and you can actually learn how you can, as a singer, start to build around why you need to start to build around your own voice and actually know your own strengths and weaknesses. So I want you to go to my website, reclaimyourvoice.ca/masterclass, and you're going to be able to watch my free masterclass on how my clients hit high notes and, you know, they're able to do everything that they want with their voice, and they're able to do it without getting down on themselves, but also in a sustainable way. So I want you to go to my website, reclaimyourvoice.ca/masterclass, watch the free masterclass, and I want you to get some great information. But back to Yebba.
Sending all of my love to you, baby.
Right. She uses that wonderful mix, that wonderful unique mix that she has, that has those extra colors that are in that rap. So all of my love, right, and then we actually hear a little bit more of the raps come in, and it's a very unique quality.
Sending all my
Sending all my sing. Right? She's getting churchy with it now. You can take the person out of the church, but you can't take the church out of the person. Listen, when someone is churchy, just genuinely, like first of all, that's as churchy as you can get. I love that she chooses a head dominant sound. When someone's well versed in their head voice, they can actually really pull on the flexibility of their voice, and they can move around with so much fluidity. And when you have the I guess the melodic library that Yebba has, when she starts going on that that pure head voice sound, right? Now she's going to be able to even fly even faster. And then when you combine a head voice dominant singer with a head voice dominant mix, you can actually play between the worlds of you can pull on the flexibility of the head voice, you can move a lot around, but then you can also pull a little bit more of the strength that comes from the mix to add weight to all of your runs, right? And so she's playing between both of those worlds. But when she's in that pure head voice, she's got even more flexibility, and so we're hearing her even like sail around even more. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Yeah. Here's my thing. Yebba is such a special singer for right now, because she is first of all, she's not just a singer that is immensely talented and skilled in terms of her runs, in terms of the uniqueness of her tone. I don't really hear people that actually make the choices that she makes in terms of tone. And also the special rasp that is unique to her voice that comes along with her mix often when she's singing up a little bit higher. There's also a genuineness and an authenticity that comes with the music that she writes. I think I was listening to songs like October Sky and Louis Bag. Her new album Dawn is coming, and I just love the fact that Yebba is not just an amazing singer, but she's also a prolific writer that is aiming to tell stories, not just with her voice, but with her writing. And I feel like when she now, because she has spent a lot of time creating a body of work that she's emotionally tied to, when she starts to pull out the church in a lot of this, and when we're pulling on church, we're really pulling on authenticity. When we get to that authentic place with her, it's completely and utterly believable. When a singer pulls on their own story and starts to emote from their own personal experience, that experience is irreplaceable, and it's something that we get from Yebba all the time because she fights for her own authenticity, and it's something I would want you guys to fight for as well. So definitely go watch my masterclass, because we talk a little bit about that at reclaimyourvoice.ca/masterclass. And for those of you that have never subscribed to this channel, please do, because this is the place where we teach singers how to listen and we reclaim people's voices. Reclaiming my voice. Anyway, I'm O'Neal Gerald Donald, and I love talking to you about Yebba, and I hope to see you in another video. Okay, bye everyone.